And welcome, everybody. This is another episode of From Scratch, the podcast. And tonight we're celebrating a milestone accomplishment. Tonight is a roundtable discussion as we celebrate the finale of season one. Believe it or not, we're here already, folks. Season one finale. We have a roundtable discussion. We have some guests that we're going to be bringing on. But before we do anything, let me introduce to some and present to others our illustrious founder and host of the podcast, Theresa Angela. Are you with us?
Hey, everybody.
Welcome. How are you?
Good. And by the way, you were 2 minutes late, so your check is getting docked.
Wow, you're going to dock me? That is horrible. Let me tell you. I thought I was supposed to be off. You signed my vacation request for tonight, right?
Absolutely not.
What? I'm going to talk to my union representative. This is foolishness.
Not today. So we have a lot to talk about, but not too much to talk about because I would like to hear from who's backstage and anyone else who's going to join us in the chat. This is our final episode for season one, and this is going to allow for us to have a break and then come back for season two in December. So just to kick things off for tonight, hello everyone. Welcome to season one. This is our finale of From Scratch. And as we gather here tonight for our first ever roundtable discussion, we want to take a moment to reflect on the incredible journey that we have embarked on together throughout this season. Each episode has been a unique exploration into various aspects of spirituality, personal growth, and the mysteries that surround us. Settling into magic kicked off our season by encouraging listeners to embrace their individuality and to recognize the unique gifts that they possess. This foundational episode set the tone for our exploration of self-discovery and empowerment. The key of this magic, we learned through reading the book The Magic, was gratitude. We delved into how gratitude can transform our lives, serving as a powerful tool for manifesting abundance and joy. This episode resonated with many, highlighting how a simple shift in perspective can lead to profound changes. We then ventured into spiritual warfare, where we discussed first the movie, The Deliverance, and we then took the conversation into unseen battles that many face in their spiritual journeys. This episode provided insight into protecting one's energy and navigating challenges that arise from external influences. Next, we had hypnosis. We welcomed my hypno bestie Alicia on as one of our first guests, and we explored the fascinating world of altered states of consciousness and how hypnosis can be utilized for healing and personal development. Listeners learned about its potential benefits and applications in everyday life. Our journey continued with medical astrology, as well as the mysteries of the moon. We examined the connections between celestial movements and physical health. That episode opened up discussions about holistic approaches to wellness through astrological insights. We uncovered the lunar cycle's influences on our emotions, behaviors, and spiritual practices. The moon's phases became a metaphor for change and renewal. And beyond that, we then talked about the Orishas, altars, ancestors, and dating outside of your faith, diving into African spirituality's rich tapestry. That episode celebrated ancestral wisdom and connection to divine energies that guide us through life's challenges. This episode was a special one for us as we introduced ourselves as being in an interfaith relationship. James being a Christian and I knee deep into African traditional religion. Finally, last week, we jumped into the deep end of the pool with Moldavite and the afterlife. We examined this powerful crystal's transformative properties, while contemplating what lies beyond this life. We welcome Zandra, who came with a wealth of knowledge of Moldavite's special energy and the healing that it brought with it from another galaxy. This thought provoking episode encouraged listeners to reflect on their beliefs about the existence after death. We also introduced a second guest in last week's episode who came to share her experience in seeing her son in the afterlife through hypnotherapy and past life regression. And that was a recap of season 1. So for tonight, we wanted to do something very simple, but we wanted to include all of you who come faithfully every week to join us. And we just wanted to kind of have a conversation and talk about the episodes that maybe you resonated with more. And we just want to have a conversation with our community. So take it away, James.
So before we jump into the round table, everyone, first of all, thank you for all your support, your love, tuning in and giving us your time and attention for these past weeks. Thank you so very much. You're making this podcast an enormous success, and we can't thank you all enough. In our chat, we have Miss Zandra is back with us. Miss Sotobora, she's with us in the chat tonight. So thank you, Miss Z. We see you. Miss Perez is also in the chat. And we have two of our faithful returning supporters waiting to be brought on live at your cue and your signal, love. So tell me whenever you're ready. So it looks like Theresa has tapped out for just a second there. That's quite all right. We're going to.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
was
you're there? Okay.
muted.
Okay, good.
And I was talking too. So bring everybody out. Let's see who's here. Let's see who came to chat.
Here comes our first person. That's Miss Farah. We've just added to the stream.
Good night. Good night.
Hey there.
Hey.
And here's Miss V. Hey, Miss V.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
All right.
Good night.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank
You're
you
very
for having
welcome.
me.
So here to James. Let's we're gonna start tossing the ball around.
So, ladies, we are celebrating the finale. So we're bringing the season 1 to a close tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, ladies, if you would please, what your favorite episode was for this season, and tell us a little bit why. Whoever wants to go first, how about we do it in the order that I brought everybody in? Miss Farah, you want to go first on that one? What was your favorite episode this season and why?
Well, I connected so much with just about every episode, but my favorite was the moon and the Oratias. I grew up as a Catholic, but I am now in IFA.
Uh-huh.
So I relate to the Oratias, the traditional IFA is what we're studying right now, and your guides and just learning. It is I can relate to that.
That is awesome. Thank you for that, Miss Farah. So it resonated with you very personally. I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you for sharing. Please don't go anywhere. We've got several more questions that we want to throw your way. In the interim, Miss V, you're up next. What was your favorite episode this season and why, ma'am?
Honestly, I think that I liked honestly all of them. To see from start until this episode to now, seeing the amount of growth and confidence and information just flowing through resonated with not just me, but noticing that a lot of people resonated with that. It's very informative, and the joy that other people have in spirituality and spreading all of that. I think every episode was my favorite because just seeing the growth so far being just one season, it's just been honestly amazing to watch.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. And I want to just jump in and say this. Again, ladies, thank you. But folks, I'm going to say this as the co-host and as Theresa's partner, because I know she would never bring herself to say something like this. So I'm going to say it for her. Theresa is one hell of a student. She is such a research savvy person. And it's just when you hear the information flowing, she spends a good amount of time putting together the scripts and the call and the program flow. Like, this whole platform is really Theresa. I mean, from start to finish. That's not to say I haven't contributed, but like, this is really her idea, her conception. It's her baby. And I think you all, those of you that know her personally, you can tell at different points in time when there are aspects that really speak to who Theresa is. It's just like when you go in somebody's house that is a family member or a friend, and you look around, the stuff you see on the walls, the paintings, the furnishings, the decor, you say to yourself, yep, this is characteristically this person that I know and love and care about. And I'm hoping those of you that know Theresa Angela can really see a lot of her signature essence in this podcast. She works really hard, but then she also has a great deal of fun too in presenting it. So I just wanted to mention that. So thank you, Theresa, for you pouring your heart and your soul into this in the manner that you have. It's been very much appreciated. And I think those that know and love and appreciate you, those who've come to know, love, and appreciate you by way of this podcast, can definitely say that they know a lot more about you now than they did. And they're appreciative of the things that they're learning. So keep doing what you're doing. You are amazing, and so is the podcast. Ladies, is there anything else that stands out to you, particularly for this season? Thank you both for mentioning that each of the episodes has been a favorite for you. Is there anything else that you can think of that really rung your bell or struck you as being something that was memorable? And speaking of bell ringing, I'm sorry, I didn't talk right.
The bell.
Do you know what you do when you ring the bell?
I
Tell
heard
him,
it. Yep.
please. Now that we have you here, tell him about
I'm
the
just
bell.
curious if he knows what he's doing, because I know you had to tell him.
She
Uh-huh.
told me. She
Mm-hmm.
said, Theresa told me several times privately, when I ring the bell, I am inviting spirits in. Well, I got to tell you, there is a spirit that already lives here. He already lives here, and he's been here for several years. And he
Mm-hmm.
has free reign of this home. And every time I do podcasts, I invite him in. So anybody else that has come in, whether or not you're welcome, I can totally get the connection. Now, ladies, remind me, is that hoodoo or what is that? What is the root of the bell? From which practicing system
Mm.
does that come from?
Well, from an example for a part of what I practice too, ringing a bell can also you can also get rid of the negativity, but also bring certain sounds of figuring out if there could be like something in the home or getting rid of something. It can mean so many things, but also can be welcoming spirits in. But it also depicts on what you believe your belief system is and what you use the bells for and the different ringings and then the sounds and stuff just represents totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I typically, because I do quite a bit of podcasts throughout the week, different podcasts, just things. I am always either in front of a microphone or a camera. I don't say that to boast. I say that to just simply say this: that I welcome the spirit in every single time, and I ask him to arrest and to expel anything that is not going to be productive or conducive to learning and presentation. And so there is always a presence here, and I feel that presence. Like, it's crazy when you look at podcasts that I've done when it's been visual. You'll see me peep through these openings here in my office because I'm looking out across the rooms, the dining room and the living room. And because I sense movement, it's very, very strange sometimes. I can definitely feel and sense movement, but I'm not going to talk more about that. But yes, ladies, I totally understand the significance of the bell ringing. But you know what? We needed to do something as a little bit of a comic relief in the beginning. And it's so funny that so many people have wondered about the bell throughout the course of the season. So that's where it came from. And I just kind of adopted it, and it's just taken off. So everybody, thank you for mentioning it, and thank you for smiling with me. In the chat, we've got Mama Angelica's in the chat with us tonight again.
Hey.
Miss Zandra is on. Miss Perez is on. We've got quite a few people in the chat. Thank you, everybody. We've got 4 viewers in total, so we're rocking and rolling. One last question. I'm going to turn it over to you, Theresa. Ladies, what things would you like to see us cover and talk about in the next season? Is there anything burning that you would hope that we would have covered that we didn't, and you wanted to take an opportunity to say, please think about mentioning X, Y, or Z for next season? What might that be? Miss V, let's start with you on that one.
To be honest, I'm not sure, but the element of surprise is very interesting because it's fascinating what, Teresa comes up with and everything like that. Like, I don't know. Not too sure, but she's been doing amazing so far, picking the ideas and everything like that. So I would say element of surprise.
I like that. Thank you, Miss V.
That's interesting. Let me say this. Most people, when they record for their podcast, they record weeks to months in advance. If it's a pre-recorded venture, and honestly, we come up with our topics usually like 2 or 3 days before we go on, because we're always looking for inspiration. We're wondering, what should we talk about this week? As soon as we log off, I am done. I'm drained, and I'm just ready to lay down. And as soon as I get off, and I leave my tarot room. So, have you thought about what we're going to talk? No, I have not thought about what we're going to talk about next. James is always ready to jump right into the next, and I need to like come down off this mountain. And it takes me a few days to like really decompress and really get the ball rolling to think about what will we jump into for the next topic. But honestly, it happens like 2 to 3 days before we come on. I'll make the flyer, and the flyer starts to get posted. But this thing is just happening off the fly, and I enjoy it that way because it for me it feels more authentic. It's not something that we are just pining over. We're just doing this from a very spontaneous space. So it leaves a lot of room for error, and I know eventually we're going to do something bigger and better and maybe move this to other platforms for podcasting. But I appreciate that it's small and it's very intimate right now. And this is exactly how I envisioned it. And I know Farah can appreciate this. When we were little, we used to listen to our parents. They had the radios on, like on the porch. And on our local AM station, there was what you could call it a podcast, but back then it was just a night show. And it was called Nightline. And it was where people could just call in and speak to the host about whatever the topic was that was grinding in the community for like that week. And I thought it was the dumbest thing. I'm like, you can't see them. Why are we sitting here in this heat listening to this radio show? You can't see the people. And my mom was like, but I enjoy this connection. I like to hear them. I want to hear what the topic is. And here we are in 2024 doing like a nightline, except it's not every night. This is obviously a once a week thing, but and even preparing for putting this out, I read a lot of books. I do a lot of research, but this comes off of the back of not having toys as a child. We had it rough. This was a rough childhood. of not having, things to entertain us. But what we did have was a lot of books. We had access to tons of encyclopedias, National Geographics, and, all those other little magazine subscriptions my dad had prepaid for. Even after his death, we were still getting these books. So this is what I had access to, and this is what I still hold on to, is reading and respecting what's in the books. So that's kind of how all of this has come to be. And I really appreciate you guys like tuning in. Like I said, it's just a handful of you guys, but you guys are so faithful. And we have a few people missing. Monica is she is in her grieving process. She had a loss. So she's not with us tonight. She's in St. Thomas right now. So we send her so much love for, what her and her family are experiencing. But like I said, I love the intimacy of this podcast. And if it got really, really big, I think it would make me a little sad, because I like how small and like this is like our own little community that we're building. So that's
The,
my take on it, y'all.
the connections have really been rich. I mean, we've had so many different people say that they watch us, they listen to us on their living room TVs. We had pictures of folks who sent pictures of their television screens and
Mm-hmm.
shots for us to see that they've had the podcast up. So, folks, we can't thank you enough for making this show your show in your home, and for the attention and the time for those of you that have taken to share the show with your family members. We've got so many folks who they spend their time with their mates, their significant others, their spouses, boyfriend, girlfriends, listening to the show. And it's just so awesome that in just a short period of time, we have become a favorite and a go-to for this community. So thank you all once again. And we aim to please in season 2 in a bigger and a better way. I feel like, Theresa, this is going to be, we want this to grow. We want this to get bigger. We want more people to be touched and impacted by this. But at the same time, we appreciate what it is. We're looking forward by faith to what it will become. But for right now, we are grateful for all that we have. And for those of you listening and viewing and watching us, thank you for those that joined the chat. I mean, it's just so amazing. This is truly a fan. I like that. I mean, I can go through just about each one of the episodes I appreciate. But the thing I love most is that there are so many folks. Excuse me. There are so many folks on here that share spirituality principles and practices, and I love that. I love that it's one big happy spiritual family. That's what I love the most about this podcast. So,
Ring that bell, Mr. James.
Right?
Ring that bell. You got that
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right. Because like right now, look at this screen. There's four little circles, four avatars, and we all practice something different. Some a little bit on, the together side. Farah and I, we practice something similar. James is practicing Christianity, and Miss V, you can tell us what your practice is.
I am a spiritual witch, and I'm very proud of that. I dabble a little bit in everything, but some things that I specialize, I a little bit keep to myself, but that's for the safety of other people. But I really love what I do. I'm very spiritual. I love being a witch, and I love just being part of the universe and the spiritual community all the way through. And I do spiritual guidance when people for classes, or in guiding them into the direction of their own journey and their own practice that they decide that they want to follow.
I love it.
Yes, that's amazing. I love that.
So we've really built a community, and we are super excited about how cohesive this community is, and we know it will only get better and closer and tighter. We now have a member of this community all the way in Mexico. As a matter of fact, Miss Zandra Sotobora is with us in the chat tonight. She joined us, what, 2 episodes ago as a special guest. She was our Moldavite specialist.
Oh, that was last week.
Was that last week?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I time traveled. My apologies. You ring the bell.
It was a bell.
Hey, and so she's with us again this week, and we welcome her again to the show and as a member of the community. This is really growing and taking off, folks. So we are thankful for all those pieces and more.
Yeah, I really like this platform. They always say when you can't find what it is that you needed when you needed it, then you have to create it for yourself and for others. And that's really the dream behind this, is to be able to give a voice to the people who are in, in silence, and who have been silenced for a long time. And unfortunately, that's the way of the world. A lot of us practice solo, and a lot of us practice quietly and privately for, the taboo of our stories and what it is that we're actually into. I find that there's just so much freedom in being able to speak your truth. And I guess it's in my favor that I am an outspoken person when it comes to my faith and my belief system. And I know for a fact that I was this way even before my mom transitioned, because we had to have these conversations, very hard conversations. And she wasn't bending and neither was I. And so we just met at a happy place in the middle. And it was like we had to have a truce a week before she passed, because she couldn't break me and she couldn't get me to, go back to being a Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I had no interest in going back to that. And for some people, especially the older folks, they have a hard time understanding that tradition and belief are actually two different animals. And a lot of them don't really understand that. So that was kind of my immersion into dealing with my mom, who at the time was my only surviving parent. But, I wasn't expecting her to really go along with anything that I was trying to share with her, because she didn't have that scope of understanding. She only knew from her own tradition and from her own belief system. So, but I feel free, and I feel like I'm able to be myself fully, and it helps to have a partner who does not make me conform to anything. So, shout out to you for being there.
Yes, the connection with you both is amazing, and the knowledge that you both share, we appreciate that from both of you guys.
Thank
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And
Again,
can
I
I
have
add a
to.
little something?
Absolutely.
Okay, being who I am, when I met Teresa, to be very honest, I was one of those practitioners that always um, kept who I was inside and not really telling anybody, not be really being open about it because you were so judged. The day that I met Teresa and I walked in her house, I tell you what, the connection right there, and she made me open up to the person that I am today, of not being ashamed of who I am, and finally having a friend that, and somebody so near to me that could bring out the best of me, and that no matter what anybody said, being who I was is more special than anything, which also pushed me to take and be more who I am, but also learn more to become the practitioner I am now.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that.
I remember that day, Virginia. I remember that day.
That
Uh-huh.
was
I have my little
finally,
I have my little friends in my window.
and let me tell you, folks, the energy going in that house was beautiful, and not one person can walk in there and lie. No, no. But it was the most amazing feeling because at first I was like, um, hi. And then just feeling that warmth come over me, I'm like, yes, she's gonna be my friend for life, forever. I like it was amazing. It was definitely amazing and very comical at the same time because you were like, yes. And I was like, you are spiritual. You're like, mm-hmm. I was like, yes.
So, for those of you listening, I have certain things in my living room window that face out, and they are very magically spelled to keep bad things out and to keep good things in. But there's also something that's going on there where you cannot lie. I don't know if it's going to work for upstairs, but for downstairs, you cannot be in the downstairs and tell a lie because it's not going to work. So, it's a setup.
Yep. And every time I went over there, I tried to lie to you and it would just not work. It kept stopping. Like, I was like, I'm going to try to do this one day. I'm going to try to make up a little tiny lie just to see if I can break through. And it just would not work. And we would laugh about it because I'm like, I'm trying to lie, but it's not working.
That's right. Yeah, then we had a couple field trips Virginia and I had. We went to see a medium. We went to what, twice? You and I went once and then I went. And then you had the lady that came to your house and that's where I took the picture of the squirrel on your porch. And yeah, we've had some interesting little experiences with spirit.
And it was definitely fun, funny, interesting, and how me and you went to the one place and we could see everything that was going on, and that lady would not come near us. She just refused. Like she knew we were on a mission. It wasn't just about like going to see this person or that person. You and I both needed some closure to different things in a spiritual sense that we weren't getting, but together we were searching for that, and that was pretty amazing. And you got to connect with family, and those signs were just it was definitely a great time. And to continue that and you being by my side has been it's awesome. I just love being around you. You're like the best friend that anybody could ever have.
Oh, I appreciate
Wow.
you,
Thank
girl. Oh. So now we're gonna jump over to Miss Farah. I appreciate you so much, Virginia. That's really, really sweet. And I feel just the same. Like I just feel like I know who
Oh,
who all the people who are in my soul tribe. And I definitely it's easy to identify you guys now because we all know that we know each other from another time. But over to Miss Farah, who's actually family. I'm trying to think, when was it that I had discovered that you were into the African traditional religion? I can't remember how the conversation started.
yeah, this was like 6 years ago
Mm-hmm.
when I started. I don't know, we've been in and out each other lives certain times. Things bring us together and we just reconnected. And as I was talking to you about my situation, I was going through a divorce and I was telling you everything that we were into now. And then when you told me you received your elites and stuff, we connected on that level on top of them being family.
Mm-hmm.
We shared so much experiences and it was so much similarities in what we were going through.
Yep. Oh
And
yes.
yeah, it went off from there, where I got initiated. I say we because my family, my boys are also, I have two Babalaos in my family. And we were initiated in the Afro-Cuban Ifa, and we're now studying the original African Ifa.
Mm-hmm.
So we still practice both, and we're still very spiritual. Everybody asks, "Do you pray to God?" and all of that. We're still like that, so that's how I can relate to you because we still dabble in different things too, and you can't break what you're comfortable and what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And with you, you have guided me too in different ways. You have bring my dad to me many times. My dad has passed away, and Terry has helped me reconnect with him. And it's just been a wonderful journey. I can't wait to see where we continue.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And yeah, he's like a big bear. He's such a huge spirit. And it's just always such an honor. And for as much as I've been crying, I'm like, I want mediumship. It's not happening. And it's been happening all along. It's crazy, this journey. They just happen to enjoy dealing with me in the dream state. And I'm not mad about it. I'm not
But
mad.
the experiences that we have, and like Miss V was saying, I can relate to what she's saying because I feel like we're placed in each other's lives at certain times when we need it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all connecting, we're all sharing with our knowledges and our experiences. And for you to be speaking your truth is tremendous to me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I agree.
So, because I am too, like Miss V, a little quiet. I don't share much. I've been in the religion for 6 years. Not much people know, not even a lot of my family know, my immediate family know, because I don't want the judgment. I don't care if I get judgment, but I don't want it. I don't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want it. I want all the judgment. Give me all the smoke. I want all the fucking smoke. I post that shit on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the shits. I'm with all of it.
Oh,
Come
I
for
am
me.
very proud. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not just going to offer up any conversation.
Yep. I know. But you're dealing with a double Aries, and I'm ready for war at all times. I'm ready at all.
Oh yes.
But yes, speaking of truth is it's like a superpower. And I'm happy to have this voice now, because when I was little I did not have this all this spunk. I was a silent assassin, and I think I'm still kind of that way, but it's very freeing to be able to live like this. This is so peaceful, and not to shoot anything or anybody down, but coming from a background of being in such a strict
Mm-hmm.
base. Everything was restriction, everything was rules, and everything was they had to be this way and you have to act like this. Shit. Balls to the wall now, because
All out, all out.
I don't give half of a fuck anymore. Like I don't even have a whole fuck to give anymore. Like it's just this is just me, and I'm
Take it or
telling you.
leave it.
Right. And when you have enough near death experiences, like you don't give a fuck at all. Like
Yeah.
I have had 12 car accidents. Like, are you joking? I laugh so much because now I look back and I'm like, I know Geico is sick of me for real.
Wow.
But it's freedom in this. And for people who are listening and you want to have a voice and you don't know how to do this, call us. Hit me up, inbox me, I'll teach you.
I think one of the things that's really powerful is that in many ways, Theresa, you have been a voice for this community, but your boldness has been infectious. Everybody can say in some shape, form, or fashion that in our knowing you, you've enabled us to understand the power of the voices we can either have or that we already have. And it's been working. So it's like you've helped us to see that a light can be turned on either, you know, initially or much brighter. And I think that's what I kind of hear because I
Definitely.
love listening to your conversations when you're talking to members in this community. And I like to eavesdrop. And I can hear when you play off of, whoever it is you're talking to and they play off of you. There's this infectious kind of spirit. There's this thing that says, yeah, I hear you. And then your person talking to you on the other line, they chime in and you go to an even higher level. And it's exciting to hear that enthusiasm and that infectiousness. And you just kind of walk with that. That's the magic that you carry. And I think you dispense that in a really beautiful way.
Well, thank you very much. That's so kind. Stop trying to butter me up, but I hear you.
Hey, that's what I got to do.
So let's go back like really fast, James. Remember, was it
What they?
yesterday you were asking me about you were asking something about hoodoo. And we
Yeah,
were getting into a really good conversation about hoodoo. And I think it's so interesting because a lot of the things that people are titling as hoodoo, this is like kitchen witching. And but it's stuff that I know personally, I grew up watching my family do certain things and it came with zero explanation, but it was stuff that was just it was just like a known, like this is what you do when you want to do XYZ. And one of my examples was my mom she wanted it to rain. Her plants were dying and she was like, I've already said a novena and it's just not raining, and I go hand me this and go hand me that. And when I looked at I handed her scissors. She had me to hand her a little tiny statue of St. Jude. And if you're Catholic, you know that St. Jude, there's a novena you pray to him for impossible causes. And when you are at the end of your rope with something, and he'll make a way for you. So this is what we consider to be intercessory prayer. And she put this little statue in her mop bucket and she set it on the back porch. And we had rain. She had the scissors open on the ground next to the bucket, and we had rain. It was a downpour. And she was like, okay, go take him out. And he had been in the bucket for hours. So the little paint on the statue was gone. I'm like, he's naked. Is this garbage now? She was like, no, no, no. I'll get a marker. I'll put his clothes back on him. But she just knew to do certain things. She knew to say certain psalms to get certain results. This is hoodoo, absolute hoodoo. But let them tell it, it was just, I'm doing what I have to do. And
Uh-huh.
there's so many other examples of that. I know, Farah, you know tons, but it was just they knew what to do, but they didn't want to call it what it really was.
Yeah, even when they're telling you to walk in your door in the night backwards so you don't bring nothing in your house.
Mm-hmm.
So many things, you clean your front of your house certain times, you do certain things, you're burning your incenses, but it's okay for them because that's what they thought was normal.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to put a title on it.
But it's hoodoo. It all is branched out of voodoo, all of it.
and
And nobody.
it's all a part of our culture that if we really look good and hard and long enough, we can see evidence of it. Matter of fact, let me pop over to the chat. We got a couple comments that I think are definitely worth bringing into the mix of things. Mama Angelique says, when you're in sync with someone, authentic conversation flows.
Yes.
We got Miss Rosie joined us. She's in
Hey,
the
Rosie.
evening.
Like, hey, Rose.
And let me see if I missed anybody. I think we have everybody else. We've already called their names. Yeah, it's important that we understand this. Like, I'm looking back now. I'm 54 years old, and I'm looking back. My mom, both my parents were from the South. Mom from South Carolina, and my dad from North Carolina. And my mom used to do a lot of peculiar things. Like, she would tell me, when you invite company over, never leave clumps of hair in your brush and
Mm-hmm.
in your comb,
Yep.
to go ahead and burn that or throw it away, because people can get a hold of your hair and they can do different things. And that's what she would say. And so I was always freaked out. Like, who's going to come in my house and steal my clumps of hair?
Mm.
But because it's my mother, I paid attention. I didn't find out until later that was who.
Bitches coming in your house and they're gonna steal your hair.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of those visitors. Thank you very much. I've been waiting my whole life for you, Theresa.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you
He
very
was a
much.
good boy.
The
You're
whole
amazing,
time.
Mr. James. You are.
Since I was like in preschool, I've been waiting for you. But she had a bunch of things like my family's big thing was, from my mother's side especially, like, you could not, as As a woman, you couldn't go to other women's houses on the first of the year because that would bring bad luck to the household and to the family. My brother and I, we had free reign. We could go in and out of people's houses all day on New Year's because the idea was if a man walked into your home first on New Year's, it brought the home and the household good luck. So we would exploit the hell out of that and go house hopping on the first of the month. I mean, the first of the year, because we knew that, you know, the red carpet was going to be rolled out. So there are all these practices that I realize now are hoodooistic. And it's just interesting as to how closely related those things are in certain cultures. You know, we
Yes,
can't help but
you are.
move from one place to the other with our beliefs and our practices and our faith systems. And it's just interesting. So, and I think this platform does a good job in sharing those kind of things. And we can share, we have a common knowledge of our different practices. And I think that's really powerful. Really very powerful. I'm proud to be a part of that. So that's a good thing.
I'm just glad I haven't scared you away yet because you've seen some things.
No doubt. No doubt.
Actually, you're just breaking him in.
Right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And he's there with you for a reason, and you're with him for a reason too.
Yeah, he learning a little something. He learning.
Wow. So we got a couple of comments about the hair. Lisa popped in and says, to this day, I either flush the hair down the toilet or I burn it because
That's right.
that's what my mom did, she says. Thank you, Miss Lisa, for that. And Mama Angelique says, if they take the wrong person's hair, they will bring it back really quick.
Nice.
This is true. This is true. But
Definitely true.
I think, there are a lot of men, mostly American men, who are not in the awareness of like how in danger they are around the wrong female.
Oh yes.
So, in saying that, it's not just hair, it's especially with your food, it could be with your nail clippings, with your fluids. American men are really like y'all are very, very naive to the possibilities and to the very things that females can do to, get certain things or to have certain results. And again, awareness is everything.
Yeah, but there's some undercover men too.
True. This
So
is
it's
true.
not only the men. The majority is men, but there is a lot of men now practicing and
Hmm.
doing things too.
That's a
So
And
big
I
that is
fact right there.
there's
yeah,
actually
do agree. You have to be aware and mindful of your surroundings and who you let in your space.
yes, for sure.
Y'all, I got to tell you this story real quick. So, in one of my earliest conversations, my mother was a really, really amazing person. My dad was too, but my mom just was super real. So, one of my first and my earliest remembrances of a conversation my mother gave me about sex, I was maybe about 8, 9 years old. And this was like the third conversation in the series. And I'll never forget, she told me she was trying to explain to me that if I'm not awake and really alert, that I'll get caught up in some foolishness. And she said to me this, y'all. She said, son, pay attention because a woman will corner you and she'll throw that thing up on you. And I thought to myself, well, isn't that what we want? Like I wasn't seeing the detriment. I was like, I'm not understanding why that's a bad thing. Isn't that what we want? And she was
Hey, that's
she looked
for
at me like
another
she could
show.
have she looked at me
He
like she
bringing in
could have
some stuff.
Hold
she
on.
looked at me like she could have just smacked the shit out of me, y'all.
You
But she was also
you
trying to tell me,
unpacking some wrong trauma here today.
but she was also trying to tell me never eat food from a woman,
uh,
never eat anything that requires tomato sauce, is what she said to me later.
Eh.
Never eat any tomato sauce products from women. Never let them feed you. Never accept spaghetti. And so I was like, why? And she was like, because they'll put stuff in the sauce. And I was like, what in the world is she talking about? I just knew my mother was an oddball that day, but I've come to understand what she meant,
Hmm.
what she
Let me
taught.
think. Was the first meal I made for you spaghetti? Let me think here. No, no, no. No, it was curry chicken. I remember making you
Yeah,
curry.
it was curry. It was curry.
With rice, huh?
Wow. But hey,
Sorry, I couldn't help it. I could.
hey, let's turn the tables. Remember, I fed you first. Remember?
Okay, first of all,
I brought over that lemon chicken. Let's talk about that for a second.
okay,
Oh,
first of all, off topic. First of all, but it wasn't no rice, so
Oh, okay.
he was safe. He's safe. Poor thing. He ain't know.
wow.
Oh, that's a different subject.
Yes, that's a for another show. That's not for tonight.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Keeping it PG.
Yeah, leave it to the Aquarius. He'd be on the wrong way.
There's
Well,
so
he's very knowledgeable. James, you're not only knowledgeable in Christianity, but you're knowledgeable in a lot of ways. And that's how you grew up, which is surprising me right now.
Hmm.
listen, I don't have a choice. I don't
Well,
have a choice. Teresa will put me down with it one way or the other. But realistically, I mean, Teresa has done an amazing job in educating me on so many different levels with so many different things. And it's just incredible to know. Like I've called Teresa the blackest person I know because she's really helped me to understand the presence of the African all over the planet. Like we talk all the time about the African presence in Brazil,
mm,
in the Caribbean, and she's helped me to understand. Like we had a conversation. She didn't tell you the front half of the conversation about hoodoo was a conversation about the Gullah Geechee people, which I'm only realizing in its totality now. Like I used to hear bits and pieces of, they used to just call them Geeches. And I used to think that was a derogatory term meaning somebody country. But then I've come to understand over the last 5 years that it's so much deeper than that, and that there's a rich history with these people that lived on plantations in the marshlands in South Carolina and in Georgia, and they have incredibly rich history. And then going to the Caribbean, I think I know for a fact when Teresa and I really started, you know, getting into our friendship, she was so magical in inviting me home with her. And it just, when I hit the soil of the Caribbean and the VI in particular, like I've never been the same since. Just walking around on that magical island and just understanding the culture of the people. And once again, a place, while it was Dutch in heritage, the African presence and the mystique and the practices are in that soil. And it's just so amazing to know that now. Like there's so much that I've learned that I must have fallen asleep in history class on, but Teresa's helped me to understand all those things together. So thank you, love.
It's definitely pretty amazing how spirituality connects all in general with life, like me growing up. And here could be a topic that we could talk about, you guys could talk about on your podcast. Not everybody has support of being able to be who they are. I was gracious enough to have family and my mom's friends of all different kinds of backgrounds. I have an auntie who is not blood related, but she adopted me, and as like her niece, and my godmother in a spiritual sense of hoodoo, and I've met Native Americans and their practices and stuff. So I was honored to have that. But one topic that is definitely not talked about is there's a lot of people out here that just doesn't have that support and have that knowledge to be
mm-hmm.
able to do that, and to have this community started here with this podcast opens up so much for so many people, and I do see it growing, but in a good way of people being able to come out for who they are and how connected that a lot of practices and what people's beliefs are connect in the same.
I love everything about what you just said. Absolutely. Because if you don't have support, what do you have? And most families are not very welcoming when you start to look at alternative practices. So it is, like I said, it's like the vision behind this is to welcome everyone because everyone should have a place where they feel safe and everybody should be able to have their voice heard. And that's why we have this. This is like the backbone of From Scratch so that we can discuss things and we can invite people in so that we can have connections with people who don't look like us and especially connections with people who are doing something completely different, but we can still work together. When I worked in childcare many years ago, I was sent to work in a classroom with children that were autistic, and I really didn't know much about, how to handle these children. And it was so interesting because the kids who were autistic, they were being immersed into a classroom with children who were not autistic. And they would play right alongside everybody else. They just did not, they weren't socially as open as the other kids, but everyone played alongside, one another. And again, the dream for From Scratch is that we can continue to have these round tables and everyone is invited to sit at the table. So it's not really a table, but it really is, for us at least, where nobody's sitting at the head of this thing. Everybody sits around and we can all sit and eat and converse in a safe space.
And I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that, and again, I'm going to kick this back over to you, Theresa, because I think you really embody this and you've helped me to see and to do this. Spirituality can be a very combative conversation. It can be very prideful. It can be, I know this, why don't you know this? Or it can be very judgmental, very condemning. And it's just so good to be in a space where you can have honest conversations where you're either honestly inquiring or honestly, trying to learn, or just honestly asking questions because you don't know. And I think it's so good to be in a space that way. I have had some of the worst arguments as a Christian with other brothers and sisters in Christ. There's so many things that tend to divide us, and just in life in general. And it's so painful that when you go to have a conversation and the things that keep being brought up are the things that put you and the other person in the conversation at odds. But to have a space where we're truly seeking to connect and to at least understand in earnest is really, really healthy, and it's appreciated. Get
Absolutely.
back with us. I got you back in now. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Good, good, good. Okay, good. We lost you there for a second. We got you back. So I was just saying, I think it's really important that we have a space where we can genuinely ask questions. Again, Theresa and I have had this incredible communicative relationship over the past 7 years where it's been just that, where we have just talked for hours and asked, we've stayed up late, we've gotten up early just talking. She'll see something on the internet, bring it to my attention, and that will kick off a conversation that will last for hours. We may call family and friends and say, hey, guess what? We were just talking about, what do you think? And that's kind of what this podcast is. It's been the richness of me learning from this incredible woman and just conversations about everything we can possibly imagine. The podcast is focusing on spirituality, but the richness of the communication I've had and enjoyed with Theresa has been about everything. And we haven't had an argument one time in 7 years about being at odds on anything, belief system wise, spirituality wise, or just stances in general, because that's not the nature of that's not the intent. We've always tried to understand what the other person is saying and what it is they value so we can value that too. And that's been something I've enjoyed and I will continue to enjoy and prize that all the days of my life, that we can just have that good kind of open communication and we can get other people involved in that. So thank you once again, Theresa Angela. You're an amazing woman.
Thank you so much. I think Miss V had something she was going to share.
I'm sorry, Miss Vigo.
Oh no, I was just saying I agree with all of that because when it comes to spirituality, some people view it as like politics, and we all know
Mm-hmm.
politics can be very intense and very judgmental and one-sided and at times. But
Mm-hmm.
to have this kind of platform start with you guys starting this really does open up the idea and for people to have open minds and understanding that not everything that people believe in or practice or this or that is all bad. But as in anything, we all are going to be learning, no matter if you're a practitioner, you're a high priestess, whatever it is that you may be. There's always something to learn. And, you learn and you gain knowledge from other people, but also build the respect of other people's religions and practices with the understanding that everybody is unique and we're all here like you're calling this the table tonight. We all bring something to the table. And when you bring that together, the resources and the most amazing um, thing that I feel is most magical is when you bring it all together. Because then you have one person that practiced this, but I have an issue, but I don't understand it. So you bring on somebody else that does. It makes it so much easier to open up to guide people in the direction that they are looking for and seeking.
Yeah.
Great point, Miss V. Great point. You ring the bell for you. Excellent point.
Thank you.
I totally agree with that. And I look forward to, learning from others because I can't claim to know everything. I learn and I am learning every single day about everything. So a resource I want to put out there, something that has helped me early, quite a few years back, I discovered it is a platform. It's called Gaia, and it is like the spiritual Netflix. I'm not sure how much the subscription fee is per month, but I believe it was at the time it was like $10 or maybe $12 a month. But if you can imagine, everything that's on this platform is of a spiritual nature and it's not geared to just one belief system. It's everything, right down to videos of meditation. They have every single thing. And it's like I said, it's called Gaia. I think it's GAIA.com. Um, that's one of the best subscriptions that I've ever invested in. And if you're just waking up, you're new on any of your paths, or if you are pretty firm and you know who you are, you know where you're headed in your belief, this is an amazing resource to have. And it's video after video. They're talking aliens, they're talking about conspiracy theories, everything you can think of. It is there.
Yeah, we have watched that together. We've watched it separately, and we've come back and shared different things. It's truly an amazing platform. It really is, and it's got so much information that will help to spark, and help a light bulb to either come on or to come on brighter. So check that out, folks. Gaia is what's happening.
Plus, I also want to share this. When we get off, everyone here, I think that's listening, is connected to me somehow on social media. I have a link to free PDFs. I have a library on Facebook. It's like a little group. It's called Theresa's Library. And I was uploading files, but it was very time consuming. And sometimes the original owner of the file will change it, and so the book doesn't work anymore. But I have an actual live link. I found it on another website in a forum for witches. And this is the most comprehensive listing of books I have ever seen. It is in a Google Drive format. And so the list is alive. It's constantly, they're adding things to it like daily. And it's just a whole combination. And most it's black female witches that have put this compilation together. And when I tell you, everything that you are looking for in book form is on this list. Everything, A to Z. So I have that, and anyone interested, I will inbox it or email it to you.
Yes, I'm interested.
Yeah, there's so many. Like when I'm bored, which is quite often, I will pull it down. There are no audible books here, but these are actual books. I just discovered one on the list. It's a book of hypnosis. It was written in the 20s. So I'm paging through that one now, but it is an amazing collection of books.
Hey,
So
love, are you able to put that in the chat, or is that something that's got to be emailed?
yeah, it's I have to go into my email to pull it down. It's a Google Doc, and I don't want to do that on my phone because I might get kicked out
Got you.
of the podcast now. So I'll do it when we get off. Um, so I think that's it for us tonight. If anybody else has anything else they wanted to share, you want to double check the chat for us.
Yeah, I'm just looking through. Let me see if did I miss anything or any topics. No, I think I got everybody. Everybody's been shouted out. And let me see. I think we're good.
All right. So I just wanted to put in my 2 cents about what my favorite episode was. And I also would like to say all the episodes were my favorite.
Mhm.
It took me a little bit of time to craft coming up with the titles, putting the little flyers together to make sure it looked inviting. But I really enjoyed, if I'm going to really put myself out there, I really liked the Orisha ancestor and the altar episode. I had the most fun getting the scripts and getting the information together for that one for obvious reasons. Um, since I've been living in this house, I think after James had the stroke, I packed my altar up because I didn't have time to dedicate to keeping up with it or keeping it clean and making sure I was putting the offerings out. And so I abandoned the altar. I cleared it all out. And so I haven't had an altar. And I have felt really lost not having a space dedicated to my parents. And when Steve transitioned, I was like, okay, I'm doing really bad. I need to do something. And so I made a little makeshift altar on the top. It's on the top of a bookshelf. And I have their photos there. And I light candles. Some of their favorite things are there. And that's pretty much, it's a dedicated space to them. And what is hilarious is there's a picture of my mom by herself. I have a picture of Steve. I have a picture of my dad. And on the back of my dad's photo is their wedding picture. But my mom has a standard frame with a little foot on the back to stand it up. And every so often, my mom's picture, the whole frame, it goes missing. And she pisses me off because it's like she's trying to get attention for whatever the reason is. And I even told Farah, I was like, she's gone again. She is gone. She'll be
To
gone for like
traveling.
2 weeks. And I've had Carly come in here and look. I think James, you came in here, you were like, yeah, I didn't find your mother. And she popped up. She popped up like maybe 3 weeks ago. And I was like, where the fuck did she go? But that's how she communicates. She makes sure that I know that she's here. So that was definitely one of my favorite episodes with dealing with the altar. And of course, the Orisha. I love them so much. And just talking about the ancestors period, I could do this all night. Like if we didn't have to hang up, I would be here all night talking about experiences and paranormal this and paranormal that. But I know we're going to have to close. So, with that being said, I just want to thank everybody for showing up and for being a part of this. You guys have no idea like how special it is to connect with people that I haven't connected to in a very long time, and then to like bring you in and bring everybody closer to me is it's just so special. So reflecting on season 1, it was nothing short of amazing. We explored a myriad of topics. We shared insightful conversations and connected with so many wonderful guests. Each episode was crafted with care, and it was your engagement that made it all worthwhile. Your feedback, your bell sound like it dying. Your feedback, your comments, and enthusiasm have inspired us to dig deeper and to reach higher. Looking ahead to season 2, as we prepare for this exciting new chapter, I invite you to join us starting Thursday, December the 5th. We will have thrilling content lined up that we can't wait to share with you. Together, let's jump into new adventures and continue our journey of exploration and growth. And on a personal note, this is Theresa Angela. I am a proud Virgin Islander. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, past life regressionist, dream interpreter, tarot card reader. I'm a fierce, protective mother to 4 amazing children. And shout out to them. I don't even know if they listen. I know they're sick of me posting this in our family chat. But Andre to Kayla, to Carlita and Carlito, I love y'all to the moon and back. And of course, my life partner, the co-host, the boo thing, James W. See how he ring the bell for himself? Author and master life coach. It has been a joy sharing this experience with you. Thank you once again for being a part of this community. We look forward to seeing you in season 2. Until then, take care and good night.
Have
Thanks,
a good night.
everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Hey, thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.